Hello and welcome to this Excel tip on Power Pivots. So before we get started with Power Pivots, let me show you how to enable it. So we're going to go to File, Options, Add-ins, and you can see right now that inactive application add-ins, the Power Pivots down there. So we want to manage the COM add-ins because the Power Pivot is a COM add-in, and we'll hit Go. Microsoft Office Power Pivot. Good. So Power Pivot is then up here. Power Pivot's a great way to get data from different sources and then be able to make pivot tables from those from that data. So basically, let's go ahead and go to Manage, and we can go to Get to External Data. So I want to show you first. I want to show you the data service. There's a bunch of different data services out there, and there's all sorts of places you can get data. I like this just because it's easy to get to from Excel. It has lots of interesting things, and there's some free sets that are really good. So an example is we could do real GDP per capita by state. So we could go ahead and click that, and then it'll bring up the data with different years for the United States, and then this is just 20 of 900 rows. So let's go ahead and select that, and we'll have it import. Okay. So this is nice because I could get, this is all states. I could get another data set that has states in it, and I could compare those two data sets. So that's sort of a nice way to do it, you know, to really get those data sets in. But for now, I'm just going to use this one data set. I'm going to make a pivot table. So let's go ahead. We have this real GDP per state. Let's go ahead and drag down. The rows are going to be the area, so my states. And then I'm going to filter out by year. So right now it's all years, but let's just do, let's say 2011. And then my values are going to be the real GDP per capita. Instead of the sum, I'm going to get the average. Okay, so then you can, you could make a bar chart of all this, and this would be probably pretty messy, but I'll show it to you anyway. That's not too bad, you just can't read all the names. So it looks like District of Columbia is the best GDP per capita. That's probably because the federal government's there. And then, you could expand this even more and look at that. So Delaware does pretty well. That's where I'm from, so that's pretty decent actually. So there's the GDP per capita, and you could see that you could do other things with this pivot table as well. So the next thing I want to do is really get an idea of how to do sort of custom files in here as well, or other files besides the data that comes from those data servers. So we're just going to go ahead and do another get more external data. I'm not going to do from data service, I'm going to do from other sources. So here I'm going to use TMY3 data from the National Solar Resource Database, and I have two files. I have the 29 Palms in California file and the Whidbey Island in Washington State file. So let's do the 29 Palms first. Let's open this up. And then what I want to do is get rid of these first two blank rows. There's some information about the latitude and longitude and whatnot. So let me go ahead and just get rid of, I want all but the blanks. So now that we got rid of the blanks, what we're going to do Let's go ahead and click Finish. It's going to import. And there's 8,760 hours in a year, so that's how many rows were transferred, so that's great. This is hourly data. Perfect. So what the next thing we're going to do is do the same thing. So I'm going to go a little quickly here. But we're going to do it for the Whidbey Islands. So same thing, get rid of the blanks. And click Finish. Success. So now we have the Whidbey Islands and 29 palms in here. So what we're going to do is now we have all this external data. So we're going to get out of here and we're going to, actually, I'm sorry, we're going to go back into there still. We're going to add a pivot table. So we can not only add pivot tables, we can add other things too. But let's go ahead and just add a pivot table. And I'm not worried about the real estate GDP. You know, we have 29 palms and whatnot. So, and we have that kind of stuff. So we have, in this case, we have in F5 is actually our solar values. And in 32 is the temperature in Celsius. So what we're going to do in F1, we have the date. So what this is going to give us is we can see basically instead of sum, we're going to do the average for both of these. So basically it's the average of the sunlight during the day and the average temperature. So I want to see if there's any correlation between these two. So unfortunately, when you do pivot tables, you can't really do other things except for you can't really do scatter plots. You have to do bar charts and whatnot. So I'm just going to copy and paste as values, and then I'm going to make a scatter chart from this. So in general, this is the sunlight and the temperature. So in general, as there's more sunlight over the period of a day, the temperature is hotter, which makes sense. So I could do things, I could use both of these data sets, the Whidbey Island and the 29 palms data as well while using both of these things. But I'll leave that as an exercise for you. So as you can see, power pivot tables are helpful to get data in and make lots of different data from lots of different sources right into Excel and be able to do the power pivot. Thanks for watching.